Ladies, would you go to school to learn how to be a feminine woman? Yes, no.
Welcome back to the Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we learn to level up in health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. Today I've got an interesting one. It's homegrown. It is about a Makoti, although it is another name for it. The English term for it be a newlywed or a new bride at a Makoti new bride, newlywed boot camp. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about a boot camp that has been started by a lady here in South Africa. And it is she has created this boot camp to basically have modern women reconnect with their cultural roots, and also just being understanding the type of responsibilities they have as a wife. Here in South Africa, in the black culture, we have the ladies that the newlyweds, they are called a Makoti. And as I said, they are a newlywed, a new bride, and also a daughter-in-law. Um, us as traditional men, we I would say traditional men, and the reason I would say traditional men is because of the requirement that women place on men, and that requirement has not changed over the eons, over the centuries, over the decades. What am I talking about? The fact that women, especially modern women, expect men to pay for the dates, pay for everything when it comes to taking her out, and basically standing in his financial stability or strength, and showing that off the bat. A lot of women, if they are after what you can only provide financially and don't look at you, and want to be with you to a certain extent, for who you are, the person that you are, the kind of the for the complete package. At some alarm bells that goes off when it comes to dealing with those women. But getting back to the topic at hand, we as men, we are always considered, and the burden performance always on us to provide provision, protection, and guidance. And that is one of the things that has never changed. It won't change, and we as men, we embrace that, we accept that. However, when it comes to women, their role has constantly evolved and changed, and now reached its final form as being a modern woman that is devoid of traditional values. They want to be free. They want to exercise their polygamy in wanting to have their sexual freedom, want to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and not be told what to do. That's totally up to you. However, when it comes to having a traditional expectation from men, but wanting to be the free spirit that you are, that is not acceptable. And men are waking up to the fact that they're getting a raw deal and going for a more traditional woman that can give them the stability that they require that they expect and want in a home, where the wife is the one that is looking after the home, making a home, looking after the children, and also being involved with that, is heavily involved in rearing and bringing up the kids. Obviously, the husband is involved, but when it comes to her being the nurturer and the person that looks after the home and makes sure that everything is in its place, the drapes, the look of it, the feel of it, and making sure everyone is fed and looked after. That is something that a lot of women is not happy with. They don't want to do. Yet at the same time, when they reach 40 with careers that is top-notch careers, earning the money, alone, having a dog, and drinking your box wine on a Sunday, on all over the weekend, they want to ask the question, where did all the good men go? So, getting into this article, I wanted to just go through as to what a lady that has put together this boot camp, basically going to the Sun, which was as a South African, the Daily Sun. It's a South African newspaper, and they basically a short clip as to what has transpired. It's Ziyakala, Makoti Camp, outrage. Makoti Camp, outrage. So if we read on, it says Londiwe Shezi, owner of Makoti Bootcamp, said the program is about more than learning to do chores. The Durban businesswoman said there was nothing wrong with being a modern African woman while also being in touch with her traditional side. So she wants to be in touch with her culture and making sure that those traditional and traditions does not die out. And she wants to also, she understands that there has to be a certain acceptance from the woman's side as to them buying into being traditional woman and doing some of the traditional things that's expected of them to maintain and maintain the family and have a functional and effective home and healthy home, especially for the children. So she goes on to say that the only reason some people see the bootcamp as oppressive is because we've been so westernized that we see anything to do with tradition as oppressive, she said. Some people may not understand why they should pay to learn how to make umqombothi. I hope I said that right, but it's umqombothi. There's an interesting click in there. But yeah, for the international guys, umqombothi is a traditional beer here in South Africa that is brewed. It's a home brew, and it is a beer that is shared when there is traditional gatherings and traditional celebrations. When it comes to weddings, when it comes to circumcisions and things like that, where which is in the Xhosa culture. So you can see and hear that I'm trying to keep up with the clicks when it comes to the vernac in South Africa. But yeah, she's wanting the woman to understand how to make the traditional beer and understand the recipe and be able to make it. She says further, but most of us don't know how to make it. We quick to judge women who don't have traditional skills, but we don't judge women who go for English cooking and baking classes. Very interesting. Some city women marry into rural or traditional families and find they are judged for not knowing these skills. They have a picture there where the ladies are standing on the ledge, pushing themselves and getting some over some of their fears. Um, Londiwe Shezi said they cater for both married and single women at the boot camp. She said the boot camp was also for single women who just want to learn. The boot camp invited motivational speakers as well. And this is where I wanted to connect back to the clip that I showed in the beginning with Kevin Samuels. He mentioned and spoke about and asked modern women, are you willing to go to school and learn how to be a wife? A lot of times, um, we speak about in the manosphere, we talk about when you're in a relationship, your woman and the woman that you decide to deal with long term. And also, when you start off the bat, she has to buy into your frame and basically want to do the things that she knows you want and expecting from a human and to make your life easy and basically complement your life so that as you are working hard and pushing yourself for the family, that she knows that she's complimenting and supporting you. And those skills, at times, some women have not been taught how to be a traditional wife and to know how to basically fall within that role and understand that being a masculine modern woman is not appealing for men. And basically, what is expected from a masculine man is for his woman to be feminine. There's nothing wrong to being a woefully cooperative if the submissive word triggers you. But at the end of the day, as Kevin says, are you willing to learn how to be a wife? And I mean, this lady, Londiwe Shezi, she has basically taken this task upon herself in creating a school and charging women basically the traditional roles that they are required and need to fulfill. there's certain things within the African tradition that they are privileged to and also know internally as to how they go about it. And but I would also suggest when it comes to this type of boot camp that they have in not just teaching from a female perspective, but also getting the male perspective in understanding what is expected from a man's point of view in what he wants, not just as to what you think they want. But they are going mainly off the traditional setup that they have had for centuries and which has worked for them. And they want to make, and she wants to make sure that that traditional values continues. And a lot of these traditional values is aligned to being a basically a woefully cooperative woman. I say that again if the submissive word triggers you, but a woman that basically again follows the lead of her husband and makes sure that she creates that home for the family, brings up the children. And a lot of times when people think about a housewife and people that's working from a woman that's working that's at home looking after the children, that she's doing nothing and you'll get bored. But if she slots in and makes sure that she does when it comes to getting into own small business and growing it and using funds within the family, the Bible speaks of in Proverbs about how a man that finds a good wife finds a treasure, and it also speaks about how that woman will go out, wake up early, and go to work in doing the things of the house that's needed in the household, but also additionally using some money and basically investing that money in small type of ventures and basically earning money for the family and bringing it back to the family. It speaks about it in Proverbs. I'm not sure exactly, but I do remember it is in Proverbs. So Proverbs is a good word for you to fall back on in understanding from a biblical standpoint what the traditional type of traits of a woman would be from a biblical standpoint. So again, are you willing to learn? This lady, Londiwe Shezi, has taken upon herself to create the school. And I believe it's a start. It's a good start when it comes to making sure that there's a certain level of where children at least is going to be brought up and seeing these values and seeing how these traditions are being practiced and can slot into it other than just being this entire TikTok generation that sits in front of their camera doing lives and doing absolutely nothing. But yeah, going back to the article again, most important is that I learned how to make sure my mental health is good while being a good Makoti, aka newlywed, a good wife, a good daughter-in-law. That is very important. We also got to do extreme hiking and more. So the extreme sports and hiking and more, that plays into fitness, and that is a lot of the things that Kevin Samuel spoke about, where he encouraged the woman to make sure that they are looking after themselves. If they are overweight and obese, to do something about it actively. And this lady and the program she's offering is definitely doing that, because they know if you are a certain weight and you are a certain body shape, you are going to miss out on some opportunities, and you need to be able to put yourself in the ballpark and at least to put in the work to be able to be selected. And a lot of women don't like that because they believe they are in control. Unfortunately, that is not how the marketplace works. Which marketplace am I talking about? I am talking about the sexual marketplace. The sexual marketplace is where women controls access to sex. They control, as Media Tutorial says, they control access to the viscous innards, and men control access to relationships and marriage. Whether you accept it, it is what it is, but that is how we function in a functioning when it comes to sexual intersexual dynamics. That is the way it is. Lastly, she says a woman who called herself Crazy Q, Sibia, said people had been dragging her on social media. Some said it's just a place. Some said it's just to please a man, but it's not about that, she said. It's also teaching you about mental health issues. So sometimes, unfortunately, some ladies, they would be go through a relationship, and it might be bad, and there might be issues with that man, but that's the man they picked. However, they then go into new relationships without dealing with that trauma, and then putting that onto the new man, which is completely different, and has their best interest at heart. Unfortunately, he gets the brunt of it because she hasn't dealt with those traumas. So, in my opinion, doing this, I think, you know what, as they are going down the ledge there, and all harnessed up and doing these extreme type of sports, I am excited to see things like this. And this is in the African community, and I believe this is definitely something that colored women here, we call them colored women here in South Africa. If you're from elsewhere, colored is not a derogatory term in South Africa for colored people. That is how the way we identify. But yeah, would be a good thing for colored women in South Africa, in Cape Town and across South Africa as a whole. Um, I want to go to another article, which is also short, that also speaks about this. Um, no, there we go. Um, and this one says Makoti Bootcamp, oppressive or simply preserving culture and tradition? That is the question that's being asked. So many years ago, many African cultures believed that women need to be trained to be the perfect wives, to love to wives to their husbands, and mothers to their children. This meant that most of their time was dedicated to cooking, cleaning, and catering to the needs of a family, while her own needs went terribly neglected. These days, women are career orientated and are after equality in all facets of their lives, both in working field and in their homes. This is why Londiwe Shezi, Makoti Bootcamp, has ruffled so many feathers on social media. I can imagine. The bootcamp sees women taking a break from the hustle and bustle of city life in rural areas where they are taught to embrace their tradition. Now, as she mentioned earlier, the women are fighting or wanting the equality. They are, and I believe that equality of opportunity, that is something that is great. Equal outcomes, I don't agree with, because we still have to compete. You cannot go to a job and expect just to get it because you rocked up. You need to have the prerequisite qualification and experience that they need for the position, so that they know they are getting the best fit. That is the best way for me to explain it. The other thing is, when it comes to the hustle and bustle, women, the more women put themselves into careers and chasing that, they are placing themselves out of the market, because not they will are shrinking their pool of men that they can get. And the reason I'm saying this is because women will not date below them. However, men will do, because you'll always see a man that is maybe financially well off. He is at a certain level or stature, but he will date someone. We look at someone like Ronaldo. He is the world champ, Premier League, La Liga champion. He has won many cups, and he's basically world renowned. However, he married a very down to earth girl next door that doesn't have any level of stature or type of financial um, stability that he has, or the type of finances that he has, but yet he married down to someone that's not on his level, but obviously bringing her up into his life, and she's enjoying that benefits of being connected to him. However, a woman will not do that. They will not date down. They are reluctant to do that. And when they do, they will tend to date someone that's way younger than them, that they can control. So if they are dating someone that's on their level or above them. That is the only way for them to have a healthy and functioning relationship, so that they can respect the guy. Um, and yeah, so the point I wanted to make was that the more you're chasing the careers, the more you're pushing into that, you are shrinking the pool of men that you can get. And top of it, on top of it as well, is we always have the saying within the manosphere again, and a lot it rubs modern women especially the wrong way, where that pressure is meant for shoulders and not for hips. And you can call me sexist if you're triggered. You know what? It is what it is. I'm talking straight at the fact that you can work and do a career, and you can do it in your 20s, in your 30s, and maybe your early 40s, and you are saying to yourself, I'm that career woman and I can be strong and I can do that. However, at the end of the day, what you're going to find yourself, you get, if you are not getting these things that, and being more traditional and wanting to make sure that you lessen that and basically focus on being a good wife for a man and being able to have a functioning and healthy family, you're going to find yourself alone, and you're going to look at get to 45, 50, and having to look out for the next 20 to 30 years of your life being alone and having to work to retirement, doing all of that on your own, having all the unsurety and being exposed with not having someone there to protect you physically in your home, to be there to check if there's something goes bump in the night. You are on your own. You have your career. You have your finances. However, that will not be enough, and the cats and the dogs that's laying on the bed will not be enough. Yes, I said it. It will not be enough. So I think that Londiwe Shezi, she is doing a great thing in starting this, knowing the pushback that she would have gotten from women. You know, working and doing that. That is, it's always been men that knows that we're going to work and I'll work our butts off our family till the end of our days, because that's expected of us, and we have been created to be able to take that pressure on us. So just to go to finish things off on this article, she says that the bootcamp sees women taking a break from the hustle and bustle of the city life in rural areas where they are taught to embrace their traditions. Makoti Bootcamp ruffles Mzansi feathers. Mzansi is another word and a nickname for our country, South Africa. According to Londiwe Shezi, the founder of Makoti Bootcamp and Silo Brides, there is nothing wrong with teaching a modern woman about her traditions and culture. The thing is that what Londiwe, the founder of this bootcamp, she's not getting is that you cannot be doing the modern woman and traditional woman. It's basically going to clash with each other, because you're gonna now want to have a career and think that you can push all of that. And unfortunately, that is the way women thinks. They think that they can have it all, and there's nothing's going to go wrong, because it's all about that work-life balance. That does not exist. Something is going to fall to the wayside, because life, as Kevin Samuels always says, and shout out, rest in peace, he always said that life is about trade-offs, and we need to understand that if you're pushing career and putting and becoming that type of CEO level, executive level type of person, you as a woman, you're going to take on those traits that's going to be giving you the and making you successful, and that at times, not at times, most likely is going to be masculine traits, because these are the things that's required to be successful. That's in line with masculine traits. Now, if you're having to go home, and when you get home, you're having to switch that off, and then willfully cooperate with your husband. Sometimes a lot of women, they don't have that switch, and I don't believe that switch exists, because if that is how you are, you're going to be that masculine type of woman, because that is the traits that you need to be successful in the workplace, and that is not necessarily attracted to a man. And you being able to switch that off and coming back home is basically something that is going to be a I would say wishful thinking. So you're going to have to get to a point where you're going to unfortunately have to ask yourself, what do I want? Do I want to have it to be a traditional wife and work with my husband? Obviously, in today's climate, if both work, her income might not be something that's extremely demanding. The career might not be that demanding, so she gets have the normal shift to get home, look after the kids. However, the husband is pushing on the levels that he needs to provide for the family and give them the lifestyle that they are wanting. But more time is taken up on his end. If that's the dynamic that you want to do, it opens up yourself up to be able to do a lot of things around the home, and be a better wife. But if you're still pushing a career, still pushing to be CEO and all of these wonderful things, and thinking you're going to be able to do the things that's required of a wife, Like I said, that's wishful thinking. And to close things off, she says that speaking to Radio 702, Relebogile Mabocha says he said the bootcamp was inspired by some of her own shortcomings. Seji, who grew up in the city, told Mabocha that she had no idea how to brew traditional beer, something that traditional brides often use to win over a husband's family. It's all about you. There's certain skills you need. And she said, you know what, I don't know how to do this and I need to learn this and someone need to teach me so that I can win and get my husband. She then thought up the Makoti Bootcamp, which would help a modern woman come back to her roots. The idea does not sit well with social media users who have called it oppressive and backward. Let's see what they say. One Facebook at Tabile wrote this about the concept. For as long as our brothers don't know how to become good husbands, this can never be me. Again, whenever accountability is placed at the feet of modern women, they will revert back to the men that they choose to deal with and say that they deal with certain men that ain't schnish. And these men, they believe that these men are the representation of all men and they paint us all with one brush and basically he was a deadbeat. I'm not, and I believe all men is deadbeat. If that is your experience, you cannot be placing that on all men and saying that is all men because that is incorrect. Because if men do it, women are quick to correct us. And she says further, I reject this oppression. It's oppression. I want to be free. I want to do what I want. I want to go where I want. I want to be sexually liberated. I want to have the security of a traditional man, but I don't want to be a traditional woman. That is what she's saying in Womanese when she says, thus, I reject this oppression. The way men are so worshipped by some of their elders to a point of not guiding them how to become better husbands or even individuals is appalling. No good, no good. So again, not taking accountability, not saying, you know what asking themselves, what do I want? Do I want a family? No, I want to be independent. Now live that, no one is stopping you. But if you want a family, if you want a certain level of man, if you want a certain level of lifestyle as a family, there's certain trade-offs that you need to accept and certain things that you need to basically fall in line with when it comes to the husband that you decide and the boyfriend that you decide to build with and ultimately hope that he's the one that's going to be giving you that ring. These are the questions you have to ask yourself and then plot the course as to how you're going to get there. And I believe this is exactly the type of blueprint that Londiwe Shezi is trying to achieve in what she's done with this Makoti Bootcamp. And lastly, not everything is oppressive. No. Shezi, however, says that the bootcamp is not only for wives or aspiring brides, but rather for anyone who wants to touch up on their traditions and culture. Let's not lose our culture. Let's not lose our traditions because of westernization. Let's not think that everything that is cultural is oppressive. She also added that there is a section that at the bootcamp for husbands called Mkhwenyana Bootcamp. Huh? Mkhwenyana Bootcamp. You know what? Now, for me, I need to go and check out Mkhwenyana Bootcamp and come back to you guys and tell you what that's all about. Because now she's basically trying to close and hit things from both ends. She's number one, taking the responsibility from her side as the woman and saying, I have some shortcomings, and she went to go and fix those things. And now she learned that, you know what, and identified a need around her that other women are struggling with the same thing. She's had the balls to be able to go out and put together the school, knowing the flack that she will get from modern women, but she still went ahead and did it. And now she's extended it to, like I said earlier, to have the voices of the men also heard. And also for men, a lot of men, they are brought up by single moms, and unfortunately the single moms are not able to teach them how to be men. And for whatever reasons, the husband or the boyfriend is not around to teach that boy how to become a man. So a school like this is definitely needed, and I do believe if the school is influence where a lot of the traditional masculine men is there to guide the young men and to basically teach them some of the skills that they need to be more confident, more assertive, and basically push themselves to when it comes to getting their money right, because that is one of the big things that women judge you on. Also making sure that the grooming is right and making sure that they are focused on their passion, so that they basically would attract the type of woman that they are looking for in their lives, and not deal with the riffraff. So I'm definitely excited about the Makoti Bootcamp. I'm gonna check out if there's some more developments around this school, and I'll come back and tell you guys about that. So, you know what? As I started off in the beginning, Kevin Samuels, he's mentioned this in a live stream. It's been mentioned on Pink Book Lessons, another YouTube channel. Shout out to her. Where she talks to the ladies as well, as to making sure that they take accountability and do the things that's needed on their end to be able to get the results that they are looking for. Similarly, in the clip that I mentioned, Kevin Samuels talks about how the lady from Pink Book Lessons, as well as Shahrazad Ali, would be great teachers at the school that he mentioned, that you would suggest for the ladies in America, the African American community, for them to get the type of results that they are looking for, and not be fooled by the mainstream media to follow certain narratives. If you listen to the Cardi B's of the world, I don't cook, I don't clean, yet she has a husband that she does all those things for. You listen to Beyonce saying all the single ladies, yet she goes back to Jay-Z, which is her husband, and she's been with him for how many years now? You know what? Don't get fooled by these artists. And I also say to men, to finish off, to say that, you know what, if you want a traditional wife, it is difficult to find them in today's day and age, and the crop of women that you find yourself in today. But they are out there, and you need to have some standards in vetting them and making sure that you are not just dealing with women because that's all you can get. Make sure you push your value up so that you can have more options and be able to exercise those options to get the type of woman that you are looking for, and not settle for anything less. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will definitely get you and catch you in the next one. And I'll see you. I'm out.